Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to Versus Stars podcast. All my loyal listeners, thank you for your continued support. And remember, click the subscribe button, everybody. There's an amazing episode because Corissa Grant boards the mothership. She's the writer of Worthy Chaos Redemption on Kickstarter. Come aboard as we go traversing the stars. Hello, Corissa. Thank you so much for coming to Versus Stars podcast.
Thanks for having me on. This is great.
It's totally my pleasure. So I always start out with the question of inspiration. To inspire your love of comics and who are your earliest influences?
My first love of comics was Ghost Rider. My brother brought me to the comic book store, and the Danny one just fascinated me. I thought this was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I was hooked from, I think it was like issue 7 on.
Oh, wow.
And then I fell in love with, like, Spirits of Blaze, and then the Spirits of Vengeance and Johnny Blaze and all that. And that would be my first thing about comics, and I still have them all from the 90s.
Are you going to pick up the current one with Howard Mackey? Just brought Danny Ketch back as Ghost Rider.
I just heard that, so I might have to. I wasn't reading any mainstream, but I mean, I kind of have to go back and get it.
Yeah, shout out. He'll be on the show tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So what made you think to yourself, I can do comic books? Because there's that leap from I enjoy reading them to I think I can do this. And what made you think that transition was possible?
I still don't think I can do it, but it's kind of a weird situation because I was a role player and I had no intention of making comics. I role played with somebody for 2 years, and when in the middle of we're still role playing, and in the middle of it, I was like, "Did you know we have 11 novels worth of story, and 5 of them is this series?" And I was like, "It's kind of too good of a series to waste." And now here I am making comics 6 months later. So. Yeah.
And it only gets better, doesn't it?
Yeah. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's a fun hobby." I was like, I work 5 times harder for this hobby than my entire business I run by myself. So fun hobby.
But you're the writer or co-writer of Redemption?
I am the creator and the writer, and then I have a co-writer that she writes. So I write for everything for Serafina. She's the angel descended. I write all her actions, and all her thoughts and all the words and everything, and then I lead the story. And then my co-writer Jessica, she comes in and she writes Draven's point of view of everything that's happening. So all of Draven's actions, words, and thoughts are hers. So you have 2 completely different characters and 2 completely different personalities in the story.
So because you're writing different points of view, you're doing one character, Jessica's doing the other character. What keeps you guys on track? Because is it ever a danger of one writer trying to pull one direction and the one trying to pull the other? Is there a discussion ahead of time of where you're gonna end up?
So sometimes we have like right now I'm writing a maze that they're in, and for whatever reason in the middle of the night I decided that my character was going to turn into a ghost so she can get through the walls quicker, and it was like a trick of the maze. So I told her about it and she loved it. So pretty much any idea we come up with, we love. But while I'm writing it, she literally has no idea what I'm doing. And like I just sent her the rooms that she has to walk through, and she's like, "Where the hell do you get these ideas?" And I was like, "I don't know." So generally, not only does she not know where I'm going with the story, I have no idea where I'm going with the story. I just finished one of our books yesterday for the spinoff, and the ending was totally not what I even expect, because I never know how the ending is going to be. And I was like, "I love this ending." And then she has to reply to it. So she wrote, sometimes we can't wait to reply to it, and we'll just skip and write to it. We send each other's teasers through the day. Like, well, because a reply is generally about 6,000 words. And I can do it in about 4 hours. She takes like 4 days. But she writes better than I do. I'm just the storyteller. She's the writer. But yeah, we're so obsessed with it. So no, we have no idea where it's going. We haven't butt heads yet, except for maybe once where we're very mean to our characters and we put them through hell. And hers was just a tiny bit too mean. I was like, we're gonna have to save that for later because we already tortured them for the last 3 chapters. So but yeah, no, we have no idea what we're
doing. So what inspired the creation of Redemption?
Resident Evil 2, actually.
I played
the original Resident Evil 2 and I was obsessed with it. And I actually RP'd as Claire Redfield for 15 years. And during that time, I came up with this idea for the story, and I kind of held on to it for like 11 years till I found her. And I had great writers, but they weren't her, I guess, for whatever reason. So the day after I met her, I was like, I've been holding this story for 11 years. You want to role play it? And she's like, I don't usually take roles, but yes, I want to role play it. I sent her a 4,000 word starter, and it was them in like Silent Hill, and it snowballed completely out of control since then.
So
But
so can you dive a little bit more into the role play concept? So are you talking about like going to like cosplay, going and performing? You're talking about just role playing as in just the writing and dialogue?
So I just write the dialogue and the action of it. So what I'll do is I'll write a chapter of what happens that they're going through at the same time, and then she'll go back and write her character's reaction and perspective of that going on. So it's pretty much she's writing the reaction. So like if I'm going through a room, whatever's happening to my character, I get to hear what he's thinking and doing while he's watching her, or how he feels about it, and if she wants to add anything to it or anything like that. And then when I get hers back, I'll continue the story and we'll go on. So we like to stop at the meanest places. Everyone's gonna kill me. Every issue ends in some kind of cliffhanger that everyone's gonna kill me on, especially in book 3 with the zombies. Something happens in every single issue, so everyone's gonna kill me. But
Now, one interest. So obviously, I do some background on research, and I checked out the Kickstarters that you've had, and one nice trend that you don't see in many Kickstarters is that backer counts are going up per issue, which is usually the opposite of how a lot of this stuff goes. Where, as anyone who knows anything about standard attrition in comic books, it goes down. Yours is going up. So, what's the key? So what's the key to the success that you keep getting a bigger and bigger audience with every issue you're doing?
Now you jinxed it, and my next one's gonna go down. But so far, it's probably being on shows like this. I mean, I've been on I think my last campaign was like 43 interviews. And so far it's been really well. I am nervous about this one because it's so close to the last one, because mine are already written. We have 45 issues, between 45 and 50 issues already written for this series, and that completes the series. And my artist is super, super fast, so they get released like every 6 weeks. So if my fans can't afford it, I'm sure they will keep following with me, but we'll see how that goes. So I'm nervous. This one's really close to the last one. It's gonna be every other month, and we'll see, but hopefully it'll go good.
So the artist who you have penciling, inking, and coloring this book, so they're busy. They're quite busy people.
Yeah.
If I get the name right, it's Jonas da Costa. Is that correct?
Yeah, Jordan da Costa. Yeah.
So how did that partnership start?
Um, so I had spent months looking for an artist, months and thousands of dollars getting samples and samples, and I was exhausted. And I actually had posted my story, and I had like 5 people that were doing like free test pages for me, because I just was tired. So he comes along and he's like, are you taking any more submissions? And I said, well, I have 5 free ones happening, so I'll make a deal with you. Either you wait for those 5, and if I don't pick one of them, I'll pay you for a page, or you can send in a free one now and I'll look at it first. So he did one in like 3 hours and sent it to me, and I was like, well, shit. So I'm like, you're hired. And I paid the other ones to go away, and now he's been with me. And I will tell you, not only is he amazing, he's part of the team. He's not just some guy I pay. I mean, he went away for 30 days, and 2 weeks in, he's like, I miss drawing this story, and I can't wait to get back. And I was like, we want pages, hurry up back. But it's really, he's really part of the team. And this is actually his first paid job. So fortunately, he's loyal to the story. He really likes the characters and all that stuff. So I got really super lucky with him, and I told him he's not allowed to go away, or I lock him in my basement. And he just posted something today about, do you remember RoboCop? Did you ever see RoboCop? Okay.
Yes.
So the guy dies. So he posted something that says this guy died and the boss made him come back to work anyway. And I wrote at the bottom, that's the boss that I'm gonna be. Not allowed anywhere at all. So yeah.
That's great, because I know. I mean, I worked with a lot of artists. Some I've loved and we've been finished. Some weren't. And the one thing that always seems to be the downfall of some campaigns is an artist who's not invested in promoting the comic. And so it sounds like Jonas is one of those good ones who are 100% backing and supporting and promoting.
Yeah. Yeah. My first artist stole $3,000 from me.
Yep.
So
Been there, been there.
yeah. So he made up for it. And everyone always like, oh, I'm so sorry. You know what? I'm glad it happened because he is so much better than they were. I love the way he does the character so much more. And when I pay off that debt, I'm gonna love it even more. Um but it was worth happening because he's just absolutely amazing. And nobody else listened to me because I don't want him to go anywhere and get too popular. But he really is amazing. And he's getting better. He's actually signed up for classes and he's actually learning a lot more to do. It gets better every time. And I even been asked, like, is this the same artist as the first, and I was like, he's just getting so much better than the first issue he did. That even he's impressed. He'll be like, I love this scene. I was like, I know.
So listeners who are out there, remember this guy's available for hire at any time.
In between my pages, yes, he is.
So beyond just the art and the timing, what does he bring to the table visually? What does he allow you as a writer to think about, to alter or think about the comic book in a way because of what his art is able to let you do?
So originally, we actually butt heads because I was used to just handing in a script and the person following the script, like, who does that? So he didn't do that. He would turn it into this masterpiece. But to me, I didn't understand where it was going because he would leave some things out because he's trying to fit all these things. So finally, after arguing for a little while, the first issue we did, I actually realized, you know what, we have to compromise. I'm going to lower my panel count and you turn it into what you want to. So I went from 5 to 6 to 3 to 4, and it worked out so much better. So he'll take those 3 and he'll turn them into like 5 to 8, and he'll do action sequences. And he is amazing. It's one of the praises we've gotten was the panel work he does, and the storytelling ability that he has to tell the story with what I give him. So he's just visibly, it's just amazing to see. So I don't even bother with with worrying about panels or whatever. I just tell him what needs to be on the page, and then he turns it into a masterpiece that I take credit for.
As every good writer should.
That's right.
So your two protagonists are Seraphina and Draven, and they do seem to be in love, but are they good for each other?
They actually are, but you wouldn't think that they were. She actually thinks that she's not, and that's actually why it's called Worthy Chaos, because now Seraphina is an angel descendant and he's a demon descendant, but everything is attracted to her angelic blood. So she causes tons and tons of trouble for Draven all the time. So all she ever does is feel guilty about it. And even I think it was this issue coming out, this campaign, issue 5, she runs out on him, or tries to, because she's like, I all I do is I'm going to get him killed. That's all I'm going to do. And he just always says, you're worth it. Anything that I go through is worth it. So she's the worthy chaos in the story. So it's kind of like Romeo and Juliet in hell, as they deal with Silent Hill, hellhounds, zombies, ghosts, zombie mermen, everything they go through, vampires in this one. So yeah, it's always her fault.
So, in your opinion, why are they destined to last this relationship, and why are they destined for failure?
So they will last because they were actually literally like created for each other in a prophecy. It was, if an angel and a demon ever fell in love, they could never be separated, or a war between heaven and hell will start. Her father, who's after the angelic weapon that she was created for, he faked a prophecy so that they did separate them. So other angels were tricked to separate them. And when they did, all hell broke loose. Draven went dark, and this was in the last life. So they went through hell. So if they're separated, it's actually incredibly bad for the planet. So they should remain together at all times. And I mean, you get to see the depths of what someone would go for someone they love, I mean, they go through pure hell for each other. And we all kind of want that kind of love. So
So if they're prophesized to have to be together, where is how do they know that it's them, or is it fate that's making this happen? Like, is there any thought of that?
They actually don't know about the prophecy. We do at one point, but they don't. They just, once they find each other, they're just completely drawn to each other. There's this spark between them, and neither one can really understand it. They just feel like without the other person, they don't really want to exist without them. He finds it incredibly difficult in this issue. You could see the struggle that he think, because we have thought bubbles, because we do a lot of thinking. Well, I don't, but the character does. Especially Draven. My character is like me. She will speak nonstop and really doesn't think anything she doesn't say. Draven, on the other hand, thinks all the time, and he has an internal struggle because, he was trained as an assassin while they were separated. And so he feels like he's not worthy of her. So he has that internal struggle. So he actually doesn't know how to express how he feels about her. And he just kind of just says, after trying for like 2 pages to tell her, he's just like, just don't leave. So that's the best he can do. The most romantic he's going to get.
So the series contains vampires, there's angels, there's demons, and there's also Anubis. So what does the inclusion of an Egyptian god suggest about the mythology of the world you're creating?
So it's to kind of show that we're actually going to add all religions in this. Well, maybe not all, but I mean, we're going to have multiple religions in this. Now the Egyptian god, he is actually being controlled by Remno, who carries a remote control around. So he actually does try to fight against the remote, which you'll kind of see more in a couple of issues. He's not a bad guy. I've been told like, oh, Anubis isn't bad. He's not bad. He's just being controlled. And so he's kind of working his way through the remote control. And you kind of see that in, the second book where he actually kidnaps Seraphina, trying to take her away from Draven, thinking like you're thinking he's a demon and needs to be taken away from him. Of course, Seraphina doesn't really think that way or realize that he's trying to help her. So of course he fights against him. But you get to see throughout of it that he does want to help. And eventually he does side with them later on when the war breaks out. So he will be part of the good side, if you want to call it the good side. Actually, I don't know. Our side, I guess. Whether it's good or bad.
So as you include these other these other deities, like say Egyptian gods, maybe other gods as well, where do they fall ideologically in a war versus demons and angels? Are they, and how do they view themselves? If they view themselves as gods, and there is, I guess, a god because there's angels, like how do they envision themselves and their role in this planet?
So it's funny you say that because I just wrote the epilogue for it. For the second series, because the prophecy was faked, the Greek goddess of Hecate decides to make Hades side with them. So Hecate's and Hades use an army of zombies to be on their side, and she goes and gets, because she's the goddess of the underworld, she goes and gets Anubis and says, you're part of the underworld, you should side with us. And he just growls, so he works. And he's going to have his army of mummies, which when he sides with my characters, they don't like either side because they fight zombies and mummies. So they're just like, what am I doing here? But because of what's happening in heaven and hell actually teams up against them because they both want this weapon. And if they can't have it, they want it destroyed, which would destroy her. So they're going to have like the Greek and Egyptian gods against the heaven and Christianity, and a little bit of Celtic because her mother is actually a Celtic goddess. Not a very good one apparently, but so it's going to be a full out war that's going to be interesting to write. We haven't written it yet. We're still writing. But I have a lot of ideas for it. I'm kind of excited. We're going to have it's going to be 5 books, and we're going to have the covers that you put together and it lines up. So you're going to have each of the armies on each, like Anubis and the mummies and the zombies and the heaven and the hell and my character. So I'm excited to see the covers.
It's very cool. Yeah. So there's also a character, a demon named, I'm going to get his name wrong, Ashima?
Oh, Asman? I'm probably saying my own demon wrong.
Aeshma.
Yeah, I have been saying Asman, but who the hell knows?
All right, and there's also an angel as well. The angel's name is
Remno.
Remno.
And Camiel, yeah.
Okay. Because my ability to pronounce names is just not
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
For anyone who knows the show. Anyways,
Yeah.
and these kind of seem to have a rivalry, but kind of like a courteous one. So what
I love
so
them
what are
together.
yeah, so what goals set them apart?
So originally Remnal in scripture is the angel that judges souls on earth and takes them to heaven. And I made up this weapon for him to pack those souls in and carry them. And then he's a chaos demon, which they don't match. They're not together in mythology or Christianity at all. We added them because they just fit so perfectly. So Remnal is the judgment of souls, and Asmin is the he loves chaos and he eats souls. So it fit perfectly. And even better is that Asmin in mythology is immune to any lightning, either magical or natural, and Remnal's biggest weapon is his lightning attack, so it worked really well. And so there is an alternate reason that they want the weapon, but right now they just want it away from her. They don't want her to have it. And so that's kind of their goal. They're kind of working together to get this weapon, and then they'll be able to fight each other. Asmin thinks it's a joke and enjoys torturing poor Remnal. And there's even a line in the book's issue 7 that I wrote the other day that was one of my favorites, where they screwed up something that they were trying to not do, and they caused it to happen as they were trying to stop it. And Remno goes, "I absolutely can't stand you," and Asmin goes, "That's my favorite part about you." So they do have this cool little banter going on, and I really kind of like it. And we've decided because of that, we're going to actually write more of a prequel where we get to see where they met and where their war started. And I don't know if you've ever watched Lego Batman, but the joke between him and Joker needing each other always reminds me of my two characters. So they need each other. They want each other there, but they can't admit it. So, yeah.
So Seraphina, that you one thing as you mentioned, is part angel, but she's a hunter. So but other than being part angel, what motivates her to actually want to do this?
So in the beginning of issue 1, we show a flashback from the prequel where she was going to run away with Draven. And the night they were supposed to run away, her brother got possessed as a demon and killed her parents and went to kill her or attack her. She called Draven, said, "Don't come." And of course, the first thing he did was come. So he went through the front door. She jumped out the back window. And just when he slipped on her blood and called her name, she turned around and got hit by a car. So she got taken away. He got arrested for the murder. And for 10 years, they each thought they were dead. So during that time, she trained as a supernatural hunter to get revenge on her brother for taking away Draven. And he got trained as an assassin because it was either that or go to jail. So I guess he chose the assassin part. And then they get brought back together as when they moved a little closer together, their souls set off an alert to demons and angels. And then they went against them and trapped them into a city or town that is like Silent Hill. It got merged with hell, and now they're trapped there fighting everything that you could possibly think of.
So as I mentioned earlier, there's also vampires involved. So do they share the same agenda as the demons?
No, they're just there for fun. Our vampires is a little different. We call them subspecies of vampires, so nobody yells at me. But I call them clotters because their heart beats every 6 hours, just enough to keep off rigor mortis, so that they bleed like clotted blood. Because it always bothered me that vampires bleed, but they have no heartbeat, so mine had to have a heartbeat. But they also have this very annoying quality for my characters that if they taste your blood, they can track you anywhere you go. And if you kill one of them, they will hunt you down and destroy you, and you can't do anything about it. So in this, of course, that happens. And now in issue 6, they have to go and track down every single vampire in the family, which is a really cool scene of them being, swamped by vampires. So good times.
Very cool. So the 5th issue is the one that's about to become the next Kickstarter. Is that correct?
Yes, this is the 5th issue. Yeah.
So when is that set to launch?
So that's going to launch June 20th until around noon until I believe July 17th. And that's going to be on Kickstarter, and it's easy to find us. You just have to search Worthy Chaos because we're the only thing that pops up. I do have to say we have a really cool add-on that I didn't mention once in the last campaign. So in the last one, you can be drawn in as a vampire. Now you can be drawn in as a zombie in issue 8.
Ooh.
And this is the last time to get that. So you could be drawn in as a zombie, and you could pick your death, or you could stagger on if you want. At the con, I had some very unique deaths that people came up with, and I was like, those would be interesting to see. But yeah, so we're gonna have that. It's like $99, and not only do you get to be drawn in as a zombie, you get the PDF 3 months before anybody else. So they get to see it before anyone else gets to see it. So
very cool.
Yeah.
So it's gonna run for 30 days. What other rewards can they look forward to?
So I've been called Merch Queen. So there is a lot. I have plushies. This is my plushie Anubis. And I think in this one we also have the skeleton birds from issue 3 and our zombie mermen from issue 2, which is actually my favorite. Besides Anubis, he's my emotional support Anubis. And then we have pillows, we have gold coins, 3D statues, both the regular kind and resin printed. And we have handmade clay statues of Anubis and the 2 characters and a zombie merman. We were supposed to have a skeleton bird, but I kept it. My bad. It was just too good. Sorry. I just love skeletons and it looked way too cool. But we also have my first time seeing it or having it is a metal cover. I've never had a metal cover for any issue, so I'm excited. So we have a heavy metal tier where you have the metal cover, metal bookmarks, and 4 metal trading cards.
Very cool. So I imagine everyone's gonna be asking the same question. Who does anything with Kickstarters? Where did you get the plushes made?
So this is from a textile. She's actually I'll have her link on the Kickstarter, but she's on Facebook, home style textiles, and she did them all by hand. She's working on my Hellhound right now, and some bookmarks, and she's absolutely amazing. And she's never done this before for anybody. I actually got her started. I saw her at one of the cons I went to in Chattanooga, and I was like, these plushies look awesome. I was like, can you make so-and-so? I think I started with, we have our rat from Apollo from our prequel is also in the add-on. And I had her start with that one. And of course my Sierra and Draven plushies. And then like 2 weeks into it, while she's in the middle of making it, I was like, why did I think of this before? Make me an Anubis. And she's like, okay. And then it kind of spiraled from there. So yeah.
Well, that's very cool. I'm gonna probably be bothering you later for more information.
Yeah.
So
He's awesome, and she's very patient because I'm such a pain in the ass. So she's completely patient, and like we went through the teeth for the Hellhound last night, and it took like 4 tries to get them right. I was like, no, smaller, no, closer together, no, bigger fangs, and it was like, she's like, whatever. So she's very patient.
That's awesome. And you said it launches this campaign will launch June 20th.
June 20th. Yep.
Very cool.
Search Worthy Chaos, and we're there.
Very cool. Chris, has been an absolute honor to speak with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on. This was awesome. Thank you, you too.